Hey y'all, I'm gonna make a quick video as we review on our sub day here. I wanted to talk about some of the topics we've talked about and just remind you how to do them. So the first thing we talked about this second half of the chapter is we talked about multi-step equations and those two special solution types. So just a reminder on multi-step equations, usually the first thing we want to do if we have it is we want to distribute so we can free these guys out of parentheses and then we can start moving stuff around, right? You have to distribute before you're able to move those numbers in parentheses. So I can't move this 1 if it's in the parentheses unless I distribute the 6, then that gets rid of the parentheses, right? So now that I got my variable on both sides, again, usually priority 1 is to gather it all on one side. So I'm going to move the 3x over by doing minus 3x, okay? Again, that's going to cancel here. I get 9x plus 6 equals 24. This is a two-stepper. I usually do that adding and subtracting first. So I get 9x equals 18. I divide by 9, and I get x equals 2. Okay, one more multi-step. Again, this one I would want to distribute to get these guys out of here. I'm going to clean this side up a little bit on the left. Again, if things are on the same side, you can combine them how they are. So I can do 2x plus 4x makes 6x, and then I still have that plus 3, right? From here, I've got my variable on both sides. I want to get it all on one side, so I'm going to minus 6x. This cancels over here, and uh-oh, it cancels over there, right? So I'm left with 3 equals 18. If you remember, this was one of our special solution types we talked about. When the numbers don't match like this, that's no solution. Again, if we get matching numbers, like if we get 5 equals 5, that's our other solution type, which is all real numbers. Okay, so watch out for those two guys. Again, these happen when, as I'm getting my variable all on one side, it cancels from both sides and I'm not left with my variable anymore. And then again, I look at the numbers I'm left with. If they're not matching, no solution. If they are matching, all real numbers. Okay, we talked about absolute value. Again, on these ones where you're doing absolute value expressions, you just plug in the numbers and you go about simplifying. The important thing to remember is that absolute value is treated as a grouping symbol, so it is treated like parentheses in our simplifying. So maybe I would start in this absolute value, I'd start with my multiplication. Negative 2 plus 3 makes 1. Absolute value of 1 is 1. Then I could do this absolute value. This makes 6. Absolute value of 6 is still just 6. Okay. So I did this absolute value. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, plus 3 is 1. Absolute value of 1 is 1. Over here, I did 3 times 2 is 6. Absolute value of 6 is still positive 6. And then again, I'm left with addition and subtraction where I would want to work left to right. So this would be 5 minus 6. This would make negative 1. Okay, absolute value equations. A little bit more to remember here, but again, hopefully very doable. The thing with absolute value is, again, absolute value measures distance from 0. So this question is asking where's the absolute value or the distance from 0 equal to 9. And again, there's two spots that happens. One of them is at 9, the other one is at negative 9. So I need to figure out where this stuff could equal 9 and where it could equal negative 9. So I can get both those answers. So again, I solve both these two-step equations, usually with the adding and subtracting first. Then I do the multiplying and dividing. From here, divide by 3. It was convenient to myself to pick numbers that don't work out too nice. This should make 2 and 1/3. And this should make negative 3 and 2/3. Okay. So again, absolute value, remember that there's usually two spots where that happens, where we're equal to this number. Okay. One of them's 9, one of them's -9 in this case, so I need to figure out where this equals 9 or -9. Okay, reminder, this is your favorite type of problem, where I have absolute value equal to a negative number, because absolute value measures distance from 0 and distance is always positive. So this question is asking, where does a positive equal a negative? And again, that never happens, so this is no solution, and that's all you write, and you're done. So again, look up for those ones where you start with that negative there, where you have your absolute value equal to a negative. Those are your no solution. Okay, then we talked about ratios and proportions. Again, the secret with ratios and proportions is to cross multiply. So we are doing that cross product. 5 times 7 is 35. This, the 3 plus x, there's two terms. So again, make sure I bundle those. From here, I solve my equation. So in this case, it looks like I'm going to distribute 24. I have a two-step equation. I usually do that adding and subtracting first. And then I usually end with that multiplying and dividing. Okay. This makes -1 and 13/24, which is going to be just shy of -1.5, a little bit bigger. Good? Okay, again, if we are doing portions, I want to cross multiply. I need to make sure I use parentheses because I have two terms in my numerators here. From here, I'm going to get a bit of a multi-step equation. That's all right. Start by distributing. Get that stuff out of the parentheses. Okay, make sure we multiply both these numbers. We have kind of a bad habit right now of drawing the arrows, but not actually multiplying both of them. From here, multi-step equation. I want to work on getting my variable all on one side. Do that first. So I have 4x plus 8 equals 18. Now I have a two-stepper, minus 8 on both sides. 4x equals 10. Divide by 4. Divide by 4. And I get x equals 2.5. Okay, so again, we started the chapter with a bit of solving equations and working with some absolute value expressions. Then we kind of moved on to this percent stuff. Again, when we're trying to calculate this what number or what percent problems, we usually start by turning the math into, or I'm sorry, the English into math. So 10 means 10, is means equals, what percent is where we're going to use a variable, of meant times, and 14 is obviously 14. So again, from here, I do need to solve for the x. It's x times 14. To get rid of times 14, I would divide by 14. I'm going to punch this in my calculator real quick. I'm getting bad with my sevenths. Okay, so 0.714. Again, this is not my answer because the question asked for what percent. And this right here, this 0.714 is my answer as a decimal. So to finish this problem, I do need to times by 100. And I'm going to get 71.4. Now I put the percent sign after it because now it's a percent, and this is my answer. Okay. Here I've got what number is 18% of 90. Again, what number would go with like a variable? Is means equals. 18%, I want to use a decimal, so I'm going to put 0.18. Of means times, and 90. This is one where I don't have to do any solving. This is simply something I'm going to type in my calculator and get the answer. So I'm going to do 0.18 times 90 I get 16.2. And again, this one I am done. I don't need to multiply because this was a what number problem, not a what percent problem. So I don't need to do that times 100. This one's good to go. Last and most recently, we talked about calculating percent change. We had a fairly straightforward formula for this. It was new minus original divided by original times 100. Again, I would like it if you put the parentheses around the new minus original. It makes it a little easier to type in our calculator. When you do these sorts of problems, I do want to see you write out what you're typing in your calculator. So I would want to see 19 minus 40 divided by 40 times 100, and then I would want you to type that in your calculator and give me the answer. But make sure you show me that work right here. Okay, so let's punch that in real quick. 19 minus 40. I'm typing it in a little differently because I'm using my computer calculator. So I get negative 52.5. Again, this is a percent because I did that times 100 already. The negative means it decreased. So hopefully this video is a little helpful. Just, I know I went quick, but to remind you of the things we've talked about and how to do them. Again, if you get stuck as you're working today, feel free to go back and watch this video on your own to get a little guidance as you work through. Okay, I will see you all Monday.